Hello, I'm Paul Roberts, and this is Conscious Counseling 101. And this is part 3 in exploring the pool of ideas of mankind and avoiding and overcoming delusion. Now, we're going to concentrate more in this video on how we make our selection. Make sure to watch the first two videos first. Let's take something that is just absolutely at the core of what we first go to that pool of ideas for once we start to look for meaning in life. Now, as a child, we don't go to the pool for this, so we've already taken in a lot of things. And what we've taken in and our understanding of those things is already a part of the way we approach that pool for the first time. So, I don't want you to approach the pool this time the way you approached it the first time. So the only way you can approach the pool a different way now than you first approached the pool is to realize you approached the pool the first time with delusion. So you must drop the qualities that you have that you know, because you know you approached the pool with the delusionary state of mind the first time. So now we approach the pool for the first time knowing that we know nothing. Now the very first thing that we are compelled to answer is the very thing that we searched when we went to the pool the first time, full of delusion, to comfort ourselves with. I don't know what's going to happen to myself. Let's adopt a system of beliefs and ideas and delusions that will comfort us all the days of our life, because I don't know that. This is the way you approach the pool the first time, but this time you don't do that. This time you don't approach the pool looking for comfort, a part of the delusion that you already are. You approach the pool from the very beginning. You aren't approaching the pool angry at things that others have taught you or shown you that have proved in your own mind to be false. You don't approach the pool looking for more of the same because you feel strong connections to what people have told you that you feel to be true. You don't approach the pool with any connection to the pool whatsoever other than your longing to go back, knowing that you've separated yourself from it for the first time. So now when you approach the pool, the first thing you say to yourself is, I know nothing, but I know that this is the content of all the ideas of mankind in front of me. How can I evaluate and utilize these ideas to define my purpose, to demonstrate my choice, to make a better world and conscious mentality existence for myself and all those around me based on my concoction of the combination of things I put together and compile and take onto myself as who I'm going to be from my analysis of that pool. What's the very first thing you're going to do? You're going to analyze probably things that are the most basic core human things that you're sensitized to and don't seem to be able to overcome. One of those things is going to be that it seems as though you're here, and it seems as though you have feelings and senses, and it seems as though with those feelings and senses there's a range of those feelings and senses, and it seems that within the range of those feelings and senses there are ones that you like and dislike and gravitate towards. There are pain and pleasure senses. There are enjoyment and senses that have to do with what you do not like. You are now already, in your consideration, a victim of your limitation. Before you've entered into delusion, your limitation has already made you a victim. There's nothing you can do about this because you cannot leave your physical body. You cannot be sure of what will happen to your physical body beyond what you do from this moment on in your working with the material that you're going to work with in that pool of ideas. So the very first thing you're going to do now is realize with yourself you enter into that pool compromised. You cannot leave your physical body. You can choose now whether you're going to serve that physical body in your selection process and gravitate more towards physical sensibilities that will allow you pleasure and pain to be taken towards and in towards yourself in the way that you would most like it to be designed to, or whether to what degree you will set that aside for a moment in your analyzation process. Can you set aside the factor of the pleasure and pain decision process that you're going to be using, that's going to be on the forefront, long enough to evaluate something in its greater overall good? Or will you take it and every time you find something you think works for you in the ability of you to give yourself what you need in that pleasure and pain type of sensibility, will that take precedence? That's the first thing you're going to do when you walk over to that pool. You realize what you're saddled with. You're saddled with a physical body in a physical realm. You're saddled with something that can produce results for you in a real, upfront, and personal way. You realize that you're going to, based on what you do from this moment on, affect that personal thing. You're going to have a propensity towards a greater, pleasurable, healthier, happier existence, or one of a lesser somehow. That's what you're going to say to yourself. Is that true, or is that a delusion? Perhaps it's partly a delusion, because we cannot make a correlation adequately with what gives pleasure to truly whether or not it benefits you or detracts from you. As soon as we accept fully that what gives pleasure, as long as it's beneficial, can help us in our overall formulation of what we choose from that pool of ideas, we have already voluntarily succumbed to delusion at the very first step. If we choose to use this as an ability or an analysis capability, we've already failed, and we've not even considered anything yet. This is the deviation that all people choose as number one. Am I going to go with what is ultimately the best, or am I going to gravitate towards what I know will serve me? All delusion starts at that crossroads. When I say to someone, you are in delusion, you are immersed in delusion, you feel you know something, it's because at some point, if you ever left the pool, you started with that. And you went towards favor of the physical realm in your choice selection process. If you're already in the pool, of course you're immersed in it. The whole thing's the physical realm. So that's a given. We're not talking about that. If you step out and you're making a change now, you're actually approaching the pool with this completely unplugged mentality, this completely objective mentality, and you approach the pool, even then you have a possibility of failure that is greatly magnified by the fact that you do feel and sense the physical realm. So, if you pattern your life after what is best for that physical realm, all your decisions will be based on that. And that delusion will accompany you all the days of your life. Now, you can take disbelief in a creator. You can take belief in a creator. Any religious makeup or way of relating to a god or a lack of a god in any direction you choose at this crossroads. One is not right and one is not wrong. But what you have to understand is, as you progress forward past this first choice, did you serve first yourself or serve first the notion that there's something more than the self? This is the thing that is most responsible for objective choice. You can go past without making this objective choice, and for all the days of your life, fool yourself with the delusion that you did make an objective choice. What you will have done then is created a worse monster than you ever were when you were first immersed in the delusion pool. Because now you feel you've gotten out and have gone back in and think you've reborn or reemerged and not offered yourself the initial delusion that you have. And so therefore you're even more convinced that you're not at the delusion pool than you ever were in the first place before you even became aware of it. So when a person is at this first step and they're considering the very first things that they're going to consider, they have to make the decision whether they're living for the real world or not. Now, because we must live in the real world, we are in these physical bodies, or at least we sense them, even if we can't prove them. From that moment on, as we go forward, we are in, whether we like it or not, the mode of the physical realm. You've heard be in the world, but not of the world. This is what that's talking about. If you progress beyond this first choice that you make, you can choose to adapt it fully into your life and belief system, or you can choose to be aware that you cannot adapt it, but still move forward and benefit from the other ideas. If you choose to not adapt it and be aware of what you're doing while you're doing it, and can maintain this throughout all the stages of your life, you can say to yourself and be confident that you are in the world, but not of the world. You can be confident all the days of your life if you start with this perfect beginning and maintain a conscious awareness of it all the way through your walk of the pool ideas. As long as you can trace this through all the way from the beginning to the end, you can be confident that you have not succumbed to delusion. It's a very difficult walk, but this is what heightened conscience is all about. Your ability to perceive the core of this walk from start to finish. Once you've started it, that's the birth or the dawn of consciousness. This is what the book that I've written is about. And this will take you all the way through the walk of consciousness, through heightened consciousness. The only way that you can be assured that you've gained heightened consciousness is to be absolutely sure that you've walked away from what you thought you knew in the pool of the delusion of ideas and reapproached it from the outside, and can guarantee that every single step that you've made has not been altered by the physical realm's pull. Every single delusion that you have succumbed to, if you get altered by the pull of the world, will take you off to another tangent. And you cannot get anywhere that way and get back on, because your deviation will always be a pull, a draw that will take you off that middle line that you could have been on. So you must always come back out again, and then you go further down that line without any pull from where you left off. So in a sense, you don't ever leave the entire pool again. Your feet will always be in the water in that shallow end, or a little deeper, or a little deeper, or a little deeper, or a little deeper. But you'll always come back to the last place that you could be absolutely certain that you didn't compromise yourself with delusion. And you will continue your journey of heightened conscious from that step. Every single step you make in that pool, even if it's just a few, is a heightened conscience that was further than the conscience that you ever had before you left that pool originally. But you have a long way to go through the history of that pool of ideas. That is your conscious enlightenment that you're working on. This is what I counsel in. This is the way to attain it. I'm not saying I'm far along on it. I'm saying I know how to get on the track, and I can help you get on it. How far you go is up to you. But this is how it's started and what it means and how to get there. I hope this has spoken to you. I'll talk to you more shortly.